Hey, buddies.
Hey, friends.
Welcome back. I do apologize for messing up the premiere last week. I was telling Liz before we started recording, I'm like, I thought I set it up, but my bad. Hopefully I figure it out this time. I was really tired when I did it because I think after I ripped it from the app that I use or the software that I use to like put the intro and that end video together, like whatever, um, I let that go throughout the night. And then the next morning, as I'm like rushing, getting ready to go to work, I uploaded it real quick and I set it up. I'm like, I'll just let it, sit during the day. It would be fine. I could have swore I checked Premiere, but I think I forgot to hit set Premiere. So that is my bad.
No worries.
But before we get started, let's draw our cards. As you guys can see, Liz found her orange scarf.
My scarf.
Super excited. Ooh, we have not gotten this one before. It is, hopefully you guys can hear me. Vitality. These kind of look like little germs in Viking uniforms. But it says, I am healthy and vital and strong. Oh, that makes sense. My radiant love of life fills me with healthy, vital, and strong cells. Each cell is a warrior. Everyone has its own sword and shield. I dare you to try to penetrate my cellular army. Didn't think so, chump. That's actually that's cute, and I think it's pretty fitting considering like weather's getting cold, and this is typically when people start getting sick, and obviously can mean many things on different levels, but that was surface level thinking, the sick stuff. But anyways, how have you been?
Good. I'm really excited because after tomorrow we start our holiday schedule, and I think I'm working like 4 days over the next like 2 weeks. So
what are you guys doing half days or you guys are, I'm assuming, doing every other day? So we haven't seen our holiday schedule yet. They should be publishing it tomorrow, obviously, because we started on Monday. But I know that initially we were doing every other day, and then we had AMs and PMs in there like we did last year. And they were kind of like, I don't know why this is a mess. And it's like we explained, because when you do every other day, some people end up like their off day is right next to the 4-day. They can't do that, so they do a half day. So then they realized that's why, and then they fixed it. And then Sergeant Major called me Monday because I was homesick Monday, and he's like, hey, trying to get the schedule done. Do you prefer AMs or PMs? And I'm like, I mean, AMs, like if I can, but honestly I don't care. He's like, everybody's picking AM. I'm like, then put me on PM. Like, it's fine, like it just means I get to sleep in. And I'm like, so what's the hours for that? He's like, noon to 4. I was like, oh, hell yeah, I'll do that.
Sure.
No problem. So I just don't know what I'm working, and my days are a little messed up next week because guess what I'm doing on Wednesday? I'm going to West Point to turn in all my equipment.
What?
Yeah, I got my CIF appointment. So I wanted to save it for the show because it's huge fucking news. Yeah. And I didn't want to have to repeat it. So I wanted to say it. So you guys are going to get genuine reaction from Liz. So Sunday, I was originally supposed to talk to her on Saturday, the colonel.
Right.
That didn't happen because miscommunication. Reserves is a different lifestyle than regular Army. I've come to terms with that. So Sunday morning, went in early because work call wasn't till 9, but I got there at 8 so I could go sit with the colonel. She brings everybody in. So I'm like super uncomfortable because to me, 2 of the people that were in there are part of the problem for all of this. So I sat down and I started off. I said, listen, I understand that reserves are different than regular Army. Like we just, and I don't mean that offensively, we just do things differently in the regular Army. I think there was a lot of miscommunication. So I figured face to face, maybe we can figure this out, because I'm a little upset that I just got an answer Thursday or whatever day it was that the justification for 90 days was because I didn't provide justification, but I sent it up 3 times. And she's like, I never got that. And I'm like, I understand, but I sent it up 3 times. Maybe not in details of what I'm getting ready to say today, but I sent it out 3 times what the plan was, justifying why I was requesting 180 days. So I laid it all out, what my plans were, that I'm going to be networking while I'm there, doing things in my off time to earn certifications, credentialing, all that stuff. And she's like, that's all I needed. She's like, now you just need to put it on paper and resubmit the paperwork. And she's like, as long as, she's like, because her response, and I'll give you my opinion of like the whole thing, or what my assumptions are. I know you're not supposed to assume, but my assumptions. But she's like, her standpoint was, because the general was going to be signing off on it, she couldn't justify 180 days to him with what I provided, which is fair. I understand that. But had other people talked to her like they were supposed to, she would have had that. So she's like, put it on paper, Sergeant Major can help you. And he's kind of like, oh, I'm not really good with the words, whatever. And Major LaSalle was like, I got you. So I was like, she's awesome. Like, just straight up, she's awesome. So we worked on that. We started it Monday. So we pretty much had it all done Monday, put it together Tuesday morning, finalized, sent it out. During this time, I hadn't heard anything back from the general's aide since they said, oh, you're going to, come down on the 7th or 8th of January. The general's aide emails me today. Was it today? My days are messed up. Like, I woke up this morning, I thought it was Sunday initially. But anyways, I think it was today. Emailed me this morning saying, hey, the general has all the things. We're just waiting for him to review it. And if there's, one of us will be in touch to let you know, what his decisions are. And if, we need to go further with this, if there's anything else I can do for you, just let me know. So I emailed her back and I said, awesome. I did resend the packet. I had a conversation with the colonel, and we hashed some things out. So the packet is being resent up. I got a phone call after lunch today. I almost didn't answer because I thought the way it popped up, I was like, great, it's people in Tennessee wanting to buy my house, because I get this phone call all the time. But something was like, answer the phone. So I picked it up. I was like, is this Sergeant Rader? Yes. Hey, this is General so-and-so. And it didn't click at first. I was like, uh-huh. And he's like, I'm just going over all this stuff. I was like, oh. And I realized who it was. And he's like, listen, I don't think this is really necessary for an open door policy. I'm looking at everything that you had sent up, and this is pretty much what I was looking for. I did have a talk with the colonel, and we kind of talked about things. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off on the 180 days. And I was like, trying to stay calm and professional on the phone, and I was like, I really appreciate that, sir. Yeah, like the whole thing with me wanting to talk to you was just because I needed some sort of justification, so that way I knew what I was doing with my life. Like, I'm okay with either or, but like, I needed something. And he's like, no, like, he's like, honestly, this is the benchmark, so if I get this again, like, you pretty much gave me a business plan. And I'm sitting there thinking, what business plan? Like, I don't know how to do a business plan. So he signs it, sends it back. He never got the new one. The one that we beefed up that literally has everything in it, which means what I had put in the email, which I have repeated numerous times to send up to the colonel, and what was in the paper that she read was justification enough.
Shocking.
Shocking. I know, right? So now the packet is with legal. So I'm just waiting for legal to sign off on it so I can send it to the CSP coordinator. I resent up my retirement packet with the terminal leave again, so that way she signs off and says, approve. And Jen's fucking leaving. I'm so fucking happy right now. Like, I'm so ecstatic.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that worked out for you.
Yeah. I mean, I told Dad, because I called him on my way home. I said, listen, I don't want to get my hopes up, because, lawyers got to sign it, and then the CSP coordinator has to sign it, and who knows, weirder things have happened, but I'm feeling pretty fucking good about it. The only thing that I am the only thing I'm really nervous about right now is my retirement packet, because I don't know how fast that moves, and CIF is going to be like the biggest challenge. So I'm doing that without orders. I got the colonel sign off on a memorandum so I can turn all of my equipment in. So at least like the big portion is going to be out of the way. But like, am I going to get orders in time? If not, like, how long am I going to be sitting here in New York on terminal leave waiting for orders so that way I can get my stuff picked up for my house? You know what I mean? So I'm hoping it moves pretty quick, but I'm like, you know what? A win's a win. So I'm just going to accept the win today.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. And I think that I've been reading this. Sometimes I buy things and I forget that I buy them or subscribe or whatever. And I guess I got this like book, and it's called Never in Your Wildest Dreams. And it's the author basically takes like parts of her life and changes them a little bit and turned it into like a fictional story. But it's all about, manifesting your dreams and all that good fun stuff. And I think that it's a really neat way she did it, because it's like a fictional story, because like we sometimes, you hear people tell a story about their life and you're like, yeah, whatever, I heard the story like 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Cool for you. You lived a rough life and it turned out better. Fuck whatever, right? And so we're like a little bit more skeptical about like receiving the message that they're trying to put out. So I thought it was really clever that she put it more in like a fictional setting, because it takes some of those like biases out of there. Anyway, but she talks about a bunch of stuff, right? But I think that if you just focus on what all of the lessons that you have learned, young grasshopper, and you just focus your intentions on like, this is going to get processed when I need it to be done, and all these things are going to line up, they'll line up for you.
Yeah.
And I think that's just really kind of where you got to put your focus right now. And I think that that's awesome. That is a huge win.
Yeah.
And everything else is just, like you said, CIF is booked. Everything's on point, and all the paperwork will work itself out.
Yeah.
So
and that's kind of where my headset is, because like I said, CIF is going to be the biggest challenge, because they're probably going to kick some stuff back, which means I'm going to have to make multiple trips to, West Point to whatever. But in the meantime, like I have a countdown now. Like, I have an official date. Well, once she signs my terminal leave, I have an official date of like no longer being here and, getting to start the next chapter of my life.
Yeah.
So whether that date means I'm already headed back west or I'm sitting here waiting to go back west, at least I have a date where I'm done with the uniform.
Yeah.
That's kind of sad.
It is, but
That's
it's also really awesome.
Yeah.
It's a milestone in life, and you should be really proud. And you're on your way.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Man, I'm so fucking excited. But so here's the other thing. While me and Major LaSalle were putting all this stuff together, she's like, who are you planning on networking with? I said, well, my dad told me that there's this school there where this guy, it's a dad and a son, and they train dogs, and they train like service dogs, and works with the police department. Plus I have connections with the local police department and their canine unit. So I was gonna like network with them, try to update my training techniques a little bit, because I mean, I've been out of the game for a minute. Like, yes, I know how to train dogs, but it's a constant evolution of techniques and stuff. And she's like, all right, well, you need to get on the phone with them today and see if they'll be willing to let you like come hang out, learn things, get the information that you need. I said, okay. While I was doing that, she was looking up classes for Rhodes State College, which is there in Lima. And I'm telling you, she's been a huge help, like doing what other people should have been doing. But anyways, so I called this place, and I'm assuming she's the wife. Her name's also Jen. And I was like, hey, so this is super random. I'm in the Army. I'm getting ready to retire. I'm supposed to be starting an internship in April with a boarding facility there in Ohio that's close to where you guys are at. And my dad was telling me about, your facility, and I'm interested in, like, maybe I could sit down with Jeremy and, like, pick his brain a little bit, maybe shadow him, like, just in my spare time, and nothing too extensive. Like, I'm just trying to update my own techniques, because I've, I was a dog handler for 10 years, but been out of it for a little bit. And I'm just really curious as to, what all you provide and whatnot. And we were on the phone for like good 30 minutes, and she's telling me all the things. Like, this dude's been training dogs for 30 years. He was one of the ones that, if I understood her correctly, he was one of the ones that started training dogs that detect when someone's going to have a seizure. Like, there's like a whole documentary about it. He trains all kinds of different service dogs, first responding dogs, dogs for disabled veterans, disabled kids, all this stuff. And she was like, we've kind of slowed things down a little bit. We normally have 40 dogs in our facility. We brought it down to 20 because we're getting ready to, we're taking the holiday. And then after the holiday, we're going to start up a new curriculum. It's a 6-week program where people can actually come take a course, and then they'll be certified trainer after that. And I was like, the fucking timing. And after talking to her, I was like, I'm going to tell you right now that I'm kind of sad that I'm just now learning about your business now versus months ago, because they would have been perfect to intern with. But I think I'm going to get the best of both worlds, because while I'm interning with Sarah and learning, the boarding facility, staff management, the small business management, and advanced grooming, which I think is going to come in handy. In my spare time, I can go hang out with Jerry. Like she said, I can come volunteer there like once a week or however often I want. So volunteer with them, learn some stuff. And then when they start off the 6-week program, she's like, I'll email you as soon as we get ready to start up, so I can let you know pricing and all that stuff and get you a spot reserved. So then I'm going to walk out of this a certified trainer. Not that I need it. Like, you don't have to be a certified trainer to train dogs, but it's just, it helps with credentialing and then obviously marketing and all that stuff. So I'm just like, I'm over the moon with all the opportunities that, like, I'm faced with right now. So I'm super excited.
Yeah. And rightfully so. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yay!
It was so exciting, because, like, I went, like, after I got off the phone with the general, I took off running. And you guys know Jen doesn't run, but I took off running towards Captain Angulo's office, because she was the first one I wanted to tell, because she's really been, like, putting in the work. She wasn't there. I was like, fuck. So I ran down the opposite end, and, like, I peeked in the conference room, and her and the major were both in there. And, like, we have this other new major. I don't know what he does. I think he's S2 maybe. I don't know what he does. I never talked to him. Anyways, he's like looking at me, and he's like, and I'm like, are you guys having a meeting? And he's like, no. And I walk in, I said, ladies, I'm so glad both of you are here. Like, and she's like, Captain Angulo was like, are you good? Because she could see it on my face. Like, people haven't seen this face in a while. And I'm like, the general just called me. And they were both like, I'm like, he approved my 180 days. And they were like, yes! They both ran up and gave me a hug and were like super excited. I was like, oh my God, like, I don't know what to do with myself right now. Oh my God, it was such a good day. And it's really small, but I found the most bomb ass pizza place down the street, and I'm kind of mad that I just found it. Like, I'm getting ready to leave. It's called like Pizzaretta or something. I don't know what it's called. It's like on 109. It's literally like half a mile from the office. And I walked in there, and I was like, oh my God, these look so good. And he's like, what can I help you with? I'm like, I don't know. Like, what is that? What is that? What is that? Like, pointing at, because there's so many different kinds of pizzas. I got the pepperoni pinwheels. That was like the first thing because I'm like, fuck yeah. Pepperoni and cheese? Hell yeah. I was like, oh, what's that one? He's like, it's the vodka sauce with, I think, mozzarella. I was like, fuck yeah. Let me grab that one. And I'm like, what else do I want? And he's like, we have garlic bread. I was like, that one looks really good. He's like, actually, here, just try it. So he like let me have a piece for free. And then I got a buffalo chicken ranch pizza. And I'm sitting there eating the garlic cheese stick while I'm waiting for my pizza. And I'm like, this is the best garlic cheese stick I have ever had. And so
Amazing.
after he rung me up, he's like, I'll see you soon. I was like, yes, you will. You will see me soon.
At least once a week.
It was great. So many wins today.
Oh my gosh, that's like one thing I really miss. Probably one of the only things, but is the food.
Yeah.
There's like not really. I have not found a good pizza spot yet. And like the Chinese food is like lacking. I mean, we have really good Mexican food and really good barbecue.
I was gonna say barbecue should definitely be on point there.
Oh yeah. But yeah. Pizza's like,
yeah,
I love pizza.
I'm really going to miss the pizza here because it is different. Like people don't understand. You know what I heard? I heard it's the water.
Yeah. Eric said the same thing about the bagels. That's why their bagels are so good.
Yeah, it's something about the water. So I am gonna miss. I don't eat bagels that much, but I do eat pizza at least once a month. Like New York, like not Domino's. Like I order usually from Amici or something like that. But like this pizzeria, whatever the fuck it's called, amazing. Gonna go there probably once a week. The halal food, I've been addicted.
Yeah, we have no halal food.
I never had it until like maybe 2 months ago. I think that was the first time I tried it. Phenomenal. Yep. And I'm like, I'm really gonna miss it. Yeah. Chinese food to me is like, I haven't really had it that much here, but to me it's the same as like it was at Fort Campbell. No, maybe it's just Kansas. At least maybe
not here.
Kansas. Yeah,
at least not here. Because so I mean, there's one place. Oh, it's so funny. So there's this one place we go to. It's pretty decent, but they're closed on Tuesdays, and yeah, and so one night we wanted Chinese food, so we ordered from a different place, and it was terrible. And so my husband's like, "All right, I'm declaring it a rule: no Chinese on Tuesday." Because it's terrible. Oh, so
you have to find it seems to be one like everywhere I go, a Chinese place called Number One Chinese. Those are usually the ones that are really good. I don't know why. Like it's not a franchise. Like it's 100% not a franchise, but for some reason, everywhere I go, there's a place called Number One Chinese, and they are number one. They're pretty fucking good, no matter where you go.
I'll have to see. Yeah, I'll have to see.
Because the one at Fort Campbell, like their crab rangoon, ooh, so yummy. Now I'm making myself hungry talking about food.
I know, right? I just ate. Like we had a holiday party today. Oh my god! So we did a white elephant.
Okay, before you get into your story, explain to me what your white elephant rules were there.
So the rules were it had a price cap of $20. Mm-hmm. And they made a rule of it had to be funny, which I don't really agree with. But that's neither here nor there. So basically it was just the gifts were there, you drew a number and you went up in order of the number. Mm-hmm. So like the first guy just gets to pick a gift and mm-hmm. opens it. Yeah. And then when the second guy's turn, he can either steal that gift or open another one. Mm-hmm. And then they set a cap on how many times a gift could be stolen. Mm-hmm. So it was 2 times. Once a gift was traded or stolen, whatever you want to call it, twice, it was dead. Like you couldn't pass it around anymore.
So we played it growing up. Mm-hmm. Like when we had our family reunion, like we would do white elephant, and it was usually like a goofy gift. Most of the time it was shit people didn't want anymore, so they just threw it in a box, whatever. And so we would same thing. You draw a number, and then but we never opened it. You never open the box until the end because like you'd have like a really big box that people are like, oh, there's a bunch of good stuff in there. And it'd be like an oven mitt or something, mm-hmm. you know, but like we never opened it. So the opening up thing was new for me. I'm pretty sure we did it at Fort Campbell because I think that's how I ended up with, I don't really drink, but I stole this like Jack Daniel's set from somebody just to be an asshole. But so that's pretty much what our rules were, except if your gift got stolen, you had to go take from the pile. Like you weren't allowed to go steal from somebody else. And it was mainly for time reasons. Yeah, it got a little spicy in the conference room because some people were being really immature. And yeah, I ended up with the Apple AirTags with a keychain. And I was
Ooh.
like, oh, I don't have an iPhone. Does it work with Android? And everybody's like, no, it doesn't. So I'm sitting there like really bummed out because I was like number 3. And I'm like really bummed out. I was like, I have a gift that I can't fucking use. Like, this sucks. What am I going to do with it? We initially had a cap. Minimum $20, no more than 25. Apparently Jen wasn't paying attention in the meeting because they lifted it. So I spent $25. A couple of us spent $25. Some people spent some fucking money for this thing. Like, there was some very expensive alcohol, like expensive gift bags, and of course, Smalls fucking went all out. But like, there was just some like really nice stuff, and yeah, it got pretty spicy there towards the end. I was like, oh, this is awkward. Can we end this now?
So it was funny. So there, even at the cap for $20, it really varied, honestly, of what was on the table for, gifts. So, I didn't really know what to bring. I don't really I'm on this whole like declutter thing, so it was like I really didn't want to add to somebody else's clutter pile, at their house. I'm like, and that was kind of why I didn't agree with the whole make it a funny gag gift, because then you're just going to wind up with some giant cup from Spencer's, or,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do with that? So I didn't really know what to get. So I was like, scratch off tickets are usually, a pretty, successful thing, or
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it, well received. So I just went and picked up $20 worth of scratch off tickets, which was funny too, because I told the guy behind the counter, hey, I need like $20 of scratch off tickets. Just give me like an assortment. So I'm thinking like couple $1, $2, $5, you get, I don't know, 10 different ones or whatever. He just pulled a roll and a roll, and he gave, and I was like, man, that's not really what I meant, but whatever. So I was like, all right, well, I don't want to just stick it in a card. It's going to get like lost in a table. And I'm like, that's kind of uneventful, or, you know what I mean? I just kind of was like, so I decided to do something that like everyone's probably seen, but I remember my grandpa doing it to people when I was a kid, and he went really crazy with the box inside of a box wrapped in a bag.
Yeah.
He would go ham and like make it into this ball of just like tape and material until you whittled your way down to this teeny tiny little thing.
Yeah.
So I found a box. So what I did was I put the cards, the scratch offs, in a Christmas card in an envelope, and I taped the envelope closed. Then I put the envelope and I wrapped it in tissue paper, and I taped the tissue paper in kind of an annoying way where you can't just pop a piece. Like, I really taped it up. And then I stuck that inside of a gift bag, and I taped the handles of the gift bag down and taped the freaking top shut, and I put it inside of a holiday bubble mailer, and then I taped it closed. Well, I sealed it, taped it closed, and then I folded it to where, because it's a little bit bigger than the card, folded it down, taped it obnoxiously, and then I put that inside of I had like a decorative Christmas box that had like Santa and snowman on it or whatever, and then I taped it closed, and then I stuck it inside another box, and then I wrapped that in wrapping paper.
That's awesome.
So I decided to be kind of funny, whatever. Well, the first person who goes, somebody did a box inside of a box inside of a box. But they just did, the guy works at Target and on like part-time or whatever. So he just had, 3 boxes and then the gift. And so I was like, oh man, somebody stole my idea, whatever. But it was like a no button, like the easy button. It just says no when you tap it, and a little peppermint candy thing. And I was like, all right, so no real draw there for the next guy to steal.
Yeah.
So a couple of gifts went out. There was one of those like wine bottle glasses where it has like a glass formed into it, but you can pour a whole bottle of wine into it. And a couple other things. And so this one guy, he draws a gift and he gets throw a burrito, the game. And he was kind of excited about it because he has a teenage kid, and then they have a foreign exchange student living with them that's like the same age. So he's like, oh, this will be fun. He's like, I'm gonna beat the crap out of everybody with these burritos. And I said, yeah, you might want to take that outside, because like we've almost broken things in the house playing that game. So anyway, he gets that stolen. by another guy. And then that kind of just died. And then so he, then the trading and the stealing kind of happened, whatever. So he winds up with my gift at one point, and he's just like unwrapping. Now everybody's cracking up though, because the last guy just did boxes with a single piece of tape. So they're pretty easy to get into. So he had to ask somebody for a knife, and he's trying to cut, because some of it was Scotch tape, some of it was packing tape. And like, anyway, and it just like kept going, like layer after layer. I feel like I'm forgetting a layer, but like it just kept going. None of it was easy to get into. And he's like, all right, this better be worth the wait, And he's like, I don't like being in the limelight for this long, So it was pretty funny. And he wound up getting them stolen. And I felt bad because he had gotten he went to the table like 4 times to draw a new gift because his kept getting stolen.
Yeah.
And so like the first was throw burrito, and then he got like this pair of socks that said Fa La La Vodka on it, and then he got like one of those car buddies. It was a snowman that you like supposed to prop up in your seat, like people use them to ride on the HOV lane and stuff like that. We don't have HOV lanes here, but anyway. And then his stuff just kept getting stolen. He stole the wine glass. It got stolen from him. So at the end, he went back for the last time and he opened a box. Well, someone forgot to grab a gift. And so they just started walking around their house and just threw random stuff in a shoebox and wrapped it in paper. So there was like a little bottle of like travel soap, a can of tuna, like a little microwavable thing of rice.
Yeah.
Like just random stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Some dude got a calendar of dogs pooping.
That's gross.
And that Bean Boozle game where you
Bean Boozle
draw and get the nasty jelly bean.
Yeah, I have some Bean Boozles. They're
Someone
disgusting.
started playing it because he just kind of gave it away at the end, and it was really funny because she took one little teeny piece of like a really disgusting flavor and almost threw it all over the table. But it got a little heated there for a while, but it was like all in good fun, and gift cards and stuff were the kind of high ticket things. But yeah, that was pretty much what we did.
What did you end up with?
I wound up with a foot warmer.
Nice.
So it's like you plug it in and it looks like a pair of slippers on the top, but the bottom has like a foam bottom. So your foot's like completely encased in like a slipper-esque thing, but it has like feet holes. It's anyway. So and I think it has like a little bit of a massager in it. So I'm kind of excited
nice.
To plug it in and turn it on. I stole that one.
A little jealous. Did you miss Theodore talk?
Not recently.
Oh, because she brought in lottery tickets.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of where I got the idea from, because last Christmas, she gave them out to just about everybody the civilians, because, we don't get the holiday schedule and we're the only people in the office. There ain't nothing going on. So she brought in a couple gift bags.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think we didn't do a Christmas
party. But she did like a couple $100 worth of
scratch. Oh, so she only spent 35. So what ended up happening was a lot of people were fighting. So Smalls, he got a Nike bag with like, I guess there's like a Gatorade bottle that you put pods into. So he got that with the pods, and then there's like some high tech, you tape something on your hand and it collects your sweat, and you scan it with a phone app and it tells you what you're lacking from your sweat. And I'm like,
that's dope.
Yeah. So people were fighting over his gift and some of the expensive alcohol. I feel like there was another one that people were like, should I take it or not? Well, Robinson, he doesn't drink, and he ended up with like, he was like I think the first one, he ended up with some nice bottle of bourbon. I don't know what kind. But someone finally ended up stealing it. So he went and grabbed a gift and ended up being the lottery tickets that I found out obviously later on that Miss Theodore brought in. And he looked at me, he's like, hey, I have an iPhone. Do you want to trade? And I said, yeah, sure, why not? I'm like, if I win big, I'll split it with you, because it was a nice handful of lottery tickets. Yeah. And so Reyes was like, scratch them off now. Like, let's watch you scratch them off. I said, I do not want that kind of attention on me. Like, no. So afterwards, Smalls ended up with my gift, which I got like the little Pop-It, like at the keychain, a little Lego set, and then coffee and a nice little coffee mug. And so he ended up with my gift, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't know that we like had like no limit I didn't realize it got lifted. He's like, no, like this is perfect. I fucking love Legos. So we went out in the hallway after like things got heated up and kind of calmed down. So he's building his Lego set while I'm scratching off lottery tickets. And then Miss Theodore comes out. She's like, I really hope you win something. And I'm like, oh, was this you? She's like, yeah. And she's like super excited. She's like, she's like, I'm going to take a picture. She's like, don't worry, you're not in it. She was like super excited about taking pictures. So I scratched them all off. I got my money back. And so she came back later to check. She's like, so what'd you win? And I said, $25. And she's like, that's not bad. I only spent 35. I was like, there you go. That's awesome. So yeah. I didn't win big, which I'm glad I didn't, because that would have been really awkward for me. Like, I wouldn't have kept it. I would have been like, here you go, Miss Theodore, and Robinson, here's your cut. You know, like it would have been so awkward. And then afterwards, I found out Miss Torado was the one that brought in the air tags. And she's like, you could have used that. And I'm like, no, everybody said I couldn't because I have an Android. She's like, it's an app. I'm like, why didn't you say something? You're literally sitting right next to me while I'm sitting there sad face over something that I couldn't use. And she's like, right. Well, I didn't want to give it away that I'm the one that got it. I was like, you wouldn't have gave it away and who cares? Like,
right. But so what was really funny about the day was the throw to a burrito game. So the guy who stole it, right? So the captain opened it, the mass sergeant steals it. And he goes at the end of it, he's like, yeah, I'm glad I got my game back. He's like, I forgot to get a gift, so I just took one from under the tree. And he's like, I gotta take that back home.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
I don't know. I was like, you're kidding, right? And he's like, no. And I'm like, what would you have done if you didn't get it back? I mean, it's not a very expensive game. You know, you just go get another one. But like, he was like, he only took it back because he's like, oh, I got to put that back under my tree.
That's so funny. A lot of us had actually forgotten about it because like we had our the HHC holiday party Sunday, which was not bad. There's a museum like down the street from work.
Yeah.
So we went there, which I thought it was interesting.
The Air Museum?
Yeah, I walked around and I learned all kinds of stuff and like refreshed my memory on things that I've forgotten because I was telling Dad, I was like, I don't know if I forgot this or if I just didn't know it, but one, didn't realize that the Japanese took over as much as they did or invaded as much as they did. Also, didn't realize that the Germans took over as much as they did. And I really don't know if I just did not know this or forgot it, but didn't know Italy was siding with the Nazis. And he's like, oh yeah. I was like, I mean, I knew that there was war down there because like, you know, Monte Cassino was like the big one or one of the big ones. And so like, I knew that, but I didn't realize that like Italy was like teaming up with them. Like, I thought they were on our side. What the fuck?
What a great day.
Yeah. You but I mean, so something. A lot of us had forgotten. And then the Monday morning meeting, they were talking about it. I was like, and I got to go get a gift because they were like, are we doing a potluck? And a lot of us were like, we just had Christmas party yesterday. We just had battle assembly. Like, we're tired. And I was like, honestly, I ain't got time to cook. Like, I'll bring in some chips. I mean, I don't care either way. I got to go out and get a gift because I forgot. So, whatever. And then Sergeant Major was like, if you want to bring a potluck, raise your hand. One person raised their hand. He's like, all right, we'll just do a gift exchange. Which I think he was kind of like sad about. I think he was like super excited about it. I don't know. But then again, he didn't even wear Christmas stuff. Like we wore ugly Christmas sweater, you know, Christmas themed stuff. The Major came in. She had like the from the Grinch, the Mary Lou hair with fucking Christmas lights around it. It was awesome. And I was like, oh man, I could not, because I have an elf outfit somewhere, or at least I used to. I might have gotten rid of it because we didn't have a Christmas party last year, at least not that I remember. But like, I couldn't find my elf outfit. That's what I was gonna wear, but I ended up just wearing some Christmas sweater. But
yeah, so it was good, and we did do a potluck, and so I actually had sent. Let me spit it out. Smalls a freaking message on Teams because I was like, we're having a potluck and plates and cups is already taken. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna have to make something.
Oh my god.
And he goes, dip, you can never go wrong with dip.
Yeah.
So I wound up having my husband help me. He makes like a buffalo chicken dip. And
was it as good as mine?
It's I think different. It's got like cream cheese and mozzarella. Is it the same?
It's probably the same recipe. Well, I get it from Franks.com.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I forgot you made that. Yeah, so I brought the Frank's Red Hot
Hell yeah.
and Eric's like, how'd the dip go over? And I was like, well, the container's empty,
Yeah.
so
That was our last barbecue. Like I brought in a big and I made like
oh
double.
right, in the crock pot.
Yeah, I made double the amount. Were you here for that?
Not this year, probably not.
No, but I made double the amount that I normally bring for our potlucks just because it always goes and nothing left still. But
Yeah,
I think
it's
we need to have another potluck because we have ran out of spoons and knives. Yeah.
So I almost text Sergeant Major Mooney and was like, bro, I need your taco salad.
Yes. Oh my god. His taco salad was good. I wonder how he's doing. I should hit him up.
But I was like, nah, let me not steal the man. I was like, we're not in the same building anymore, you know? But
he probably would have gave it to you.
He would have. But anyway, I thought it was funny. So yeah, that was like but it was like one of those things where, like I said, I was like, I don't know what to get, so I just like swung by the gas station and grabbed some lotto tickets, and then like I came home and we made dinner, and it's like after you're done making dinner, the last thing you want to do is like make something else.
Yeah.
So Eric and I are like hanging out on a couch or whatever, and we get ready to go to bed. It's like 9:30. Like I need to be asleep. And I'm like, oh man. And he comes from the bedroom. He's like, we never made the dip. So we just like hurried up and then threw it in there. But now it's like after 10 o'clock but I mean, it all worked out, but yeah, so that was kind of, the highlight of my week, I guess. But like I said, I've just been like really excited about all this time. My friend is coming in next week, so that'll be fun. I got to try to find something for us to do for her birthday because it's kind of when she's coming. And but winter is here. Yep.
How much snow you got?
None yet, but it's 60% chance of snow on Monday, but it doesn't really snow a lot here. It's usually more like icy rain.
I was gonna say ice storms.
Yeah, but it's been pretty mild. Like it dropped right before Thanksgiving. It got like 20 degrees outside, like out of nowhere, but then it jumped back up into like the 60s. And then so it's just kind of been hovering around like that, like 40s, maybe 50s during the day. Like yesterday, it was like 50 some degrees outside. It was lovely.
Oh, lucky.
Today the high was like 35, which again, I can handle. It was super windy though. The wind was like kicking my butt. Like I had a bag with a glass Pyrex dish, and the bag was like blowing away like it was empty.
Wow.
I was trying to walk in the building and the bag's like blowing around and I'm like, what in the world? And but I think by next Friday it's supposed to be 3.
Gross. Is that on my end or yours?
I don't hear anything.
I don't hear it anymore. That's gross.
What was it? Like a whistling?
I thought it was sirens.
Oh, it could be the wind. I can hear it howling behind me.
Yeah.
It's not howling right now, but it was when you were like, what's that noise?
We're supposed to be getting hit with wind and rain. I think we're under like a flood warning, and it's been cold. Like we've already gotten snow.
No way.
Yeah, I mean a dusting, but like still, like this time last year we hadn't gotten any. I don't think we got snow until what, like February last year was when we had like actual snow, not like this dusting stuff that's gone in 10 minutes. But yeah, we already had a dusting. It's probably going to be icy because they made sure to tell us, like, make sure you take a lap. That's not a normal thing typically.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
But yep, winter is upon us, and I'm just ready for it to be over.
Yeah.
So what gets me through, that silver lining is the 22nd, I believe, somewhere in and around there, winter solstice hits. And from that day, every day gets a minute longer.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
How? There's only 24 hours in a day.
No, the daylight.
Oh, I was like, the day can't get longer.
No, the daylight hours. So
Daylight. Okay.
starting winter solstice, the sun stays out a minute longer each day.
Oh, I did not know that.
So this
Interesting.
whole, the sun's down at 4:30 nonsense
Mhm.
um starts to end.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, I'm kind of that's one thing that like I don't want to move in the middle of winter. Like that sucks. But
It's
it
not
is what it is.
impossible. I've done it.
Yeah. As long as
It's
I ain't got to move myself because that was one of the options was like I'm going to have to move all this my stuff into storage by myself if things don't work out the way I'm wanting them to. So, as long as I don't have to move myself then sorry, mover guys. I'll give you some hot cocoa.
But yeah, I'm sure you're not the first person to move in the winter.
No,
So
because this time of well, January-ish, January into February-ish is PCS season. So we have like
yeah.
2 seasons or 2 PCS seasons. Normally it's January, February time frame and then like August, September time frame or September, October time. So when I PCS to Bragg from Hawaii, it was February. And so I'm out there. Never had full winters. Well, I've had full winters before, but hadn't been in full winters in 3 years. So I'm out there in my full winters. It's like 10 degrees outside. Maybe I might be exaggerating, but it was cold as fuck considering I just came from Hawaii. First art comes out, downgrade. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like he was out there in shorts and just the long sleeve shirt. No hat. I think he had gloves on. Maybe he had the hat on. I don't know. But I was not happy about having to take my pants off. And I was like, and he would always, like, I learned afterwards, like, he would always make us downgrade because this guy likes to take a lot of pre workout. So in the morning, he's all like jittery and fucking sweating bullets no matter what the temperature was. Like, this guy, like, wants us
Yeah,
to
we had a
downgrade.
guy, he just PCS here from Hawaii, and he
Oh,
was
poor
like,
guy.
"Oh man, it's cold." We're like, "This is
This
not
ain't nothing.
even cold yet." And I was like, "You showed up on a 30-degree day with a puff vest. You're gonna need more clothes than that.
Yeah, poor
Take
guy.
yourself down to Tractor Supply and get
I,
yourself a Carhartt
I
jacket."
feel like the army should not PCS people from warmer climates in the middle of winter. I think that's just me.
Yeah, so well, he came here, I don't know, September, but like he hasn't really had a winter in a
Oh,
long time.
okay.
And
So
he was
he
super upset because he was supposed to go to Puerto Rico
mm,
and he got a call last minute that they needed it for a stabilization. So they sent him here.
that's
But
a bummer.
he's like,
So
I've spent
okay,
so
he
much money trying to clothe my kids for winter.
yeah, but I mean he had time to prepare. It's not like he
He really
showed
did.
up in the
He
middle of winter,
really
so
did.
I
But
don't really feel bad for him. I felt bad because I thought he was brand new. Like, hey, Kansas, oh shit, it's cold.
but so cool things. Um so my scarf.
Yes, where
We've been
did you
talking
find
about this
it?
for weeks, and I keep meaning to bring it so you can see it again. Like I said, it's nothing special,
I
but
love it.
I just love it. So, I lost it. Like I couldn't find it, and I was trying to talk to Lori about it and show it to her, just to show it to her, whatever. And I couldn't find it, and I looked everywhere, and I'm like, I have no idea where this freaking thing is, and I was getting kind of bummed about it. And I told you, it's like my Whoopi. I like to sit here and I like to wear my scarf.
Yeah.
So I had an appointment with her and she was like, well, what I've done, she's like, this happened to me before. I lost my phone for like several hours and freaking out because I can't communicate with clients, yada, yada, yada. And she's like, I looked everywhere. And she's like, my son came in and was like, Mom, why don't you call on your spirit people to help you? And she was like, that's not a bad idea. So she's like, I sat down and I called in all my spirit guides and was like, hey, if you could help me find this, that would be great. And she was like, I was walking around and something told me to go uh somewhere, and it was like in a pantry, like just somewhere really random where she was probably doing something and set it down.
Yeah.
And she said she ran into another issue where she was looking for something like like a device of some kind, like an AirPod or Apple
Mhm.
Watch. It's not what it was, but something like that. Couldn't find it. and I think it was during her move. And she called on her spirit guides to help her find it, and it was in with, like, the dog clothes. She's like, "I would've in the back corner of the basement somewhere,"
Mhm.
and she's like, "I never would have looked there because she's like, "It's just, Halloween costume for the
Yeah.
dog." She's like, "Not something you open every day." So,
Right.
I was like, "Alright, let's try this out." I've never really called on a spirit guide to help me really do anything like that. So, I was like I did. I sat down, I was like, "Alright, I'd really like to find my scarf. If you could help me, that'd be great." And I was in my room, and just all of a sudden, something was like, "Hey, look in that bag." And so I looked in the bag, and there it was. And I was like, "Yeah, I would have never looked there."
Awesome.
And I don't even remember putting it in that bag. So, yeah, I was like, "Yay,
Yay.
won! Woohoo, worked."
Yeah.
So I was doing something the other night. I was laying there, and I was like, I told you I've been really just trying to figure out, like, what my sole purpose is,
Mhm.
you know? And I was laying there one night, kind of, I guess, like, communing with spirit guides, and I was like, "Hey, if you could, like, point me in the right direction or give me a clue or something, if you're hearing me right now, tomorrow I would like to see an owl." So, like, I got up, I went to the gym, and, I'm looking and I don't see anything. Whatever, I come back from the gym, the sun's a little bit more out and I don't see anything. And I'm like, all right, well, keep my eye out, divine timing, all that, whatever. And they got to take my kids to school that day because
Mhm.
I wound up coming back up that road. And when I came back up that road, there he was sitting on a fence post. And I was like, yes,
Hell yeah.
word.
You've been
So,
obsessed with owls since you got there.
well, probably because I have one that lives around here and I
Yeah.
see him pretty frequent. Well, I don't see him frequently. I see
Mhm.
him every now and again, so much so that I usually am like, take it more as like that's like my like spirit
Yeah.
animal type, and so they're known for wisdom and
Mhm.
transporting messages from different planes and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But because one day it was over the weekend actually. So remember last week we were talking about how I was trying to uh I can't remember now why I was trying to do it, but it was like an exercise
It
on
was
basically like
manifesting.
manifesting.
Yeah.
And so it was like set a timeline for what you want to see.
Oh yeah. Did
I
you end up doing it?
I did, but I didn't meet
That's what I
the
mean. Met the
yeah,
quota.
no. So I only got to 7.
And what was your
10 was
10?
my 10
But
times in a 48-hour period.
you know what? Seven's pretty, especially it being an owls. Like, cause
Pretty random.
you don't see that owl very often. People don't talk about owls very often.
Right.
So
Well, I
I
wanted it to be something kind of blatant,
right,
you know.
yeah. And so I think 7. That's pretty good.
Yeah. And so yeah, that's what I was going to talk about. So I had only gotten I think on Thursday I was what 3 or 4,
3 or 4, if
and
I
that was like the
remember.
day I started it.
Hmm.
And so Friday came and I still was kind of like hovering there. So it's weird. So I didn't meet the time hack, but I did wind up it was a little outside, so it kind of leaked into Saturday.
Hmm.
Um, but I really think it was because like it goes to show like when you lose your intention and you lose your focus, like it all kind of goes away, right? So when I was
Hmm.
super focused on, I got 4 like right off the bat. And then I was like, okay, cool. And then you get like distracted by life and other things and whatever. And so I was kind of sad that I didn't meet my thing. I think by Friday I had gotten to 5 or 6. So it would have been 5 because I got to 7. Because on Saturday, I woke up in the morning and I'm sitting on my couch and I look out and there he is, like right in front of my window. Like not he's across the street, but
Right.
like he was on the post next to my mailbox
Hmm.
and he's just hanging out there. And like I looked at my husband, I was like, "You see that? I think that's an owl. Is that an owl?" Because it was still kind of dark out. So
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if it was just like the lumpy, people do the hedge post, fence post, or whatever.
Yeah.
So I went outside and was I don't know, I just felt like I should go there and try to get closer. So I went out there and I got to like the end of the driveway and then my husband came out behind me and when he did, the owl flew off.
Oh,
And then I
dang it.
saw the neighbor has one of those like fake owls to like scare off animals. They're supposed
Mhm.
to keep snakes away and different things. And so I had seen it when I went out to feed. And so that was as far as I had got. So I but I think I saw those 2 things kinda bam, bam, because I also woke up and was like, "Oh, man, Friday's passed and I didn't make my goal," and, like but then there it was. So it was
Yeah.
almost like a reminder of, like, you have to, set those intentions and keep your focus in order
Mhm.
for the momentum to, like, continue.
Right.
So it was a pretty cool little lesson to learn. And, so I like the owl because, like you said, they're not something that you see
Right.
all the time, and, yeah, anyway.
That's cool. Did I
Yeah.
because I have my days mixed up, so I don't know when this happened. Did I tell you about the dream with talking to Huron? Did I
No.
talk about that last week? Okay, then it happened this week. So Huron's presence has been around. Like I can feel it. Like even coming home. So Sheldon, he doesn't typically mess up the bed. That was a Huron thing because he would dig at the bed to fluff the pillows or fluff up the blankets every day this week. My bed's been messed up. Not that I've made it like I normally do. I normally just toss the comforter, but it's not like how I typically do because I'm in a rush every morning. But that's been like a daily thing. I went to sleep and I've been having my dreams have been kind of all over the place. But the one I walked in my bedroom, but it wasn't my bedroom. It was a different room, but I just recognized it as my bedroom. And there was Huron laying on the bed in his thunder shirt. And I like he was kind of glowing. Like he looked really fucking good. I was like, "Oh my god."
Oh,
So I ran up and I hugged him and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so happy that you came to see me." And so I think I was partially, I don't know if this is a thing or not, but I think I was partially lucid dreaming because I was very aware that this was not happening, but like was like I can ask these questions and have this conversation. So I was like, "Can you understand me?" And he like nodded. And I'm like, "Can you speak?" And he barked. And I was like, "Okay." I'm like, but you can understand me." And he like shook his head, yes. And so I asked him the questions that's really been fucking me up. And I'm like, "Was it painful?" And he said, "No." And then I said, "Did you go quickly?" And he was like, "Yes." And I can't remember. I know I'm gonna get fucking tear. I'm like starting to well up a little
sure.
bit. But I know I asked him more questions, but like I couldn't remember. But I know I asked him like 5 questions. And so when I woke up, I was like, that just made me feel so much better because that was like my biggest thing was like
That's
that he was here
amazing.
suffering while I was at work.
Right.
So yeah, that was it was great. And like I said, his presence has been around. Like he was in my dreams. My dreams were really fucked up last night. I don't really know what happened because they were like all over the place. I'm not going to go in detail about something because I woke up very discombobulated, like extremely, because like I remember setting or hitting my alarm, like hitting the snooze. I'm like, why the fuck is this going off? It's Sunday. I'm just gonna sleep in. Like, what the fuck? I went back to sleep thinking it was Sunday. And then my alarm went off again, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, but then I thought I was gonna have a bad day because when I rolled over, I felt like I was on a fucking ocean, like my head
Oof.
was spinning, and then I thought some other things had happened, so I woke up very angry, and I was like, just super confused. But I do remember at one point in my dream, I was bringing Huron home. Like I remember like I think it might have been like just kind of like how it was at Fort Bragg when I took him home after I adopted him. So it was something along those, but I know he was there. Like I remember seeing him. I just don't remember all the context. But like I said, I know his presence has been around, and I was like, it made me think because like after Scout passed away, like that one like fucked me up too. Scout didn't really come around. Like I think I remember dreaming about him twice after he passed away. And that's why I'm convinced that he came back as Sheldon. That's why he hasn't visited me. But Huron, he just hasn't found his new suit, so he's gonna hang out. Which you know what, you can hang out as long as you want.
Which when I talked to my animal communicator, she said, like, you can do that. You can move on, or you can, come back, or you
Mm-hmm.
can just stay here. It's okay. If you
Yeah.
like it here, you can stay here. So
Yeah. So I'm hoping he stays. Not here
yeah,
in New York, but just stays with me. So
yeah.
you need to get me her
Oh, I
information.
do. Yep.
How is that horse doing? Is he
Really cool. He is he's so fucking funny. I just seem like a lot more of his like personality is
Mhm.
coming out, a little bit. He's a little bit more he's always been just standoffish is the best way I could put it. Like
Mhm.
he loves a good scratch. You scratch him, he's gonna follow you around like a puppy, but like he's never really been playful, and he, is always super food driven, so, like, the scratching and all that's, like, cool while he's waiting for you to feed him, but, like,
Mhm.
once, like, the hay is thrown out, he could, like, really give care less if
Yeah.
you lived or died, like, as long as you keep like, that's just how he is,
Yeah.
and even, like, when the other two are hilarious. They instigate and they poke at each other and pester and, like, um he would just always be off somewhere. Just it's gonna sound weird, but it's like he never smiled.
That
Okay, and I
doesn't
know
sound
that
weird. No, that doesn't
sounds
sound
weird
weird at
because
all.
they don't really smile, but
Yeah, they do.
I think they do.
I think that like animals 100% smile.
So he of course it's cold and the days are short, so I don't really get to spend like a lot of time with them, but
Mhm.
like in the mornings when I go out to feed, like he he's trotting more. He's, like, moving more, where before he was always like, "Doop, doo, doop, doo,
Yeah.
doo." To get him to trot or to really do much more than a walk was, like, pulling teeth, or he had to be scared or mad or whatever, and even that, but, like, the other day, he, like, threw out a buck playing around, and when he comes to the gate, he trots the whole way, and he comes to the gate and, like, he makes these dragon noises, and, like, he's just funny, and, like, um, I just see him, like, moving around more,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like, even if he is walking, he's, like, moving around, and, like, the other day, it was, like, miserable here, it was raining, and it was cold, and I didn't well, 1, I didn't know it was gonna rain, but I was like, "Hey, you guys have this, like, house now, so we don't need raincoats and shit, just, like, go inside when it rains because that's what they used to do."
Yeah.
But the building that I have now has a tin roof, so, when it rains, it's, like,
Yeah.
loud, and so I don't know if that was scaring them or if because the generator, for the fence is in there and it ticks, and so ticking to them means you're about to get popped because that's, like, what happens with the fence, like, it has a
Oh.
pulse to it. It's like tick, tick,
Mhm.
tick. So it's like a slow blinker is kinda
Yeah.
what it sounds like. So the light indicator and the noise just lets me know that the fence is on and it's working. So I didn't know if maybe, like, that was giving them, like, mixed signals or whatever. And, uh, anyway, so I threw all their food in there, even though I knew they were gonna make a big old mess, but, like, the pony and blue were, like, shivering. So those are the other 2. They were, like, out there just soaked all the way through the bone. So I tried to get them in, and I was like a whole thing. Anyway, so they were finally all in there eating, but, like, for whatever reason, one of my horses, he would not, like, go in there. He just didn't wanna be in there, and he kept going out into the center of the field and was, like, alerting, right? Whenever there's something somewhere, they, like are like a pointer,
Mhm.
like a hunting dog. They face it, their ears go towards it, and they just stand like statues
I did
until they
not know
figure
that.
out if I need to run, are we gonna have to fight?
Mhm.
Like, what is that? Is it danger? Is it real? Is it a dragon? I may have been a horse. Have you ever seen that? Anyway, um, so he stood there for so long that uh Dart kind of like got alerted to it. And again, normally he would either just ignore or he'd like mosey in that direction, but he fucking perked up and took off in a trot over there. I've seen him like running around. Like he picked up the other day, I fed him grain and I have to lock him in a different area. And so when I let him out, he just like ran off, like picked up a gallop on his own. And I was like, he never does that. So
Wow.
he's just gotten like more playful. I've seen him kind of banter with the other 2 a little bit. He's older, so of
Mhm.
course, I think his level of like, fuckery is like little like, all right, enough guys. But
Mhm.
um he just seems different. And I love it. I
That's
freaking
awesome.
love it. So there's a few things that I want to, do with him. I want to maybe take him to the vet and, like I said, have his Lyme titers ran and some other things before I have a follow up with her. But I really want to do a follow up with her and just
Yeah.
see where he's at compared to where we started, because he does seem um just different. And like, he was so funny on Saturday. I didn't really have anything going on, and it was cold, but I was all bundled up and warm. So I got the brushes out and picked the fucking sticks out of their hair and wiped some of the mud off of them and just kind of spent some time grooming them while they were eating, pick their feet and whatnot. And uh he when I was done with him, I moved on to another horse, and he came over and he like put his head up on the other horse's butt like, "Hello, I
Aww.
would like some love." And so it was just cute, and,
Aww.
so it really does kinda warm my heart that, like, he just seems in a better mental state. I'm sure
Yeah.
he still has a lot of, like, letting go and healing to do, and, um, but he does just seem, I don't know, more at peace knowing that, like, I wonder sometimes with that whole, like, death thing where she was like, "You don't have to go anywhere, you don't have to be alone,"
Mhm.
if that was, like, maybe just a huge,
Yeah.
like, weight lifted. But he does seem, uh he seems really good.
That's good. I'm glad to
Yeah.
hear it. And that's
So
amazing because and I know there's like skeptics out there like there shit, I'm a skeptic when it comes to especially stuff like that cuz it's like okay, because we know that there are a lot of scam artists out there. Like are you
100%.
legit? But it's kind of like the girl that I've contacted her twice for tarot readings. And the first time was pretty legit. The second time I'm like okay, were you real the first time or was I just reading into shit? So I'm kind of like, I don't know, but you have to take those things with a grain of salt, but like be open minded to it because that is amazing. Like you can't make that. I mean, you could make it up, but like you're witnessing that she actually talks to fucking animals, and that's
Yeah,
amazing. So
yeah,
like I kind of really want to contact her because like I want to make sure Sheldon's good.
yeah,
Cuz he definitely he has his moments where he's just kind of like there, but it's like dude, I know you were here and I know you saw something. Like I know you are recognizing that your brother's not coming home. Like are you okay? Cuz sometimes it's like he's pretending that he's not that he's just at the groomers or the vet or something.
mhm.
So I
In
just want to
denial.
yeah, so I just want to make sure he's okay.
Yeah, I'll thumb through and see, what I can send you,
Yeah. And plus,
for
I'd be
sure.
curious to see if she's like, you've spent more years with Sheldon than he has in this body. Because, like, I'm just really curious to see if she's going to confirm what I've believed, Sheldon since day one that he's just Scout reincarnated, Scout in a new suit.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. But yeah, so, oh, and then, I've been having, like, a lot of conversations. Remember I told you last week that, like, I've been getting these things that, like, don't really resonate with me, but then they make me think of someone else. So my friend has been kind of going through, uh, just a tough time. When we want to do something and it's not really turning out the way we want, and then it winds up turning into a negative thing.
hmm
And it's hard to kind of get it back because all we can see around it is just, failure or whatever. And so that's still kind of going on. I read something today that really was like, "Ooh, yeah, I really kind of felt like that hit more for, like, her than it did for me." And just been really really trying to, help her through that, but I also feel sometimes like it's funny because I was reading that book, and in one of the chapters, the girl is talking to a friend, and the friend is like, "Do you want to know the secret to, like, how me and our other friends are so successful?" And she's like, "Of course, yeah." And it was all about, uh, visualization and intention and putting it out into the universe and, all that stuff that we've talked about here on before. And the main character was like, "So you're telling me that you've been keeping the secret from me and I could have avoided, you could have helped me avoid all of the trials and tribulations and struggles that I've been going through. And she's like, no, what I'm saying is that you could have been doing this. And that I tried to tell you several times, but you just weren't ready to hear it.
Yeah.
And so sometimes that's how I feel like when I talk to people, you try to like clue them in, but it's like they're not really taking your words for what they mean. They're like, yeah, I know. Yeah, you're right. I should really do that. Or, but they're not really hearing what you're saying. And that, like, I don't know how many more times I can say, you have to phrase that in a different way. Every time you say it like that, you're just attracting that into your life. I don't have any money. I don't have any time. I don't have this. That's all you ever do is just attract that. You don't have it. You just attract the lack into your life. So I'm like, just try to think about it in a different way, and like limiting beliefs. That's been something that like comes up a lot. And I'm like, I don't know that I really, feel like I have any limiting beliefs, that I'm like, that, would affect you so greatly or whatever. But like, no, I do.
I was going to say,
and some of them are like subconscious, right? So like this lady was talking about money, for example, and she was like, a limiting belief could be something that you don't even know that you're doing. Right. So she was like, for her, she experienced, she wore hand-me-down clothes and kind of got picked on sometimes because, the stuff that she wore and things like that. And she's like, it's not the bullying that set the limiting belief. It was the fact that it was always snobby, rich kids in nice clothes. And so it makes you think that you make this connection that money is bad and makes people mean. So then I don't want that. I don't want to be that. And so then you attract that into your life. So you're never really successful with money because you have built a negative connotation around it. And so it won't come to you. And I thought, gosh,
that's really interesting.
I was never really bullied for not but I did feel some kind of way about it. And I do know that like, I still do that. Like I'll see somebody in a Mercedes or a bougie car or lives in this big ass fucking fancy house. And I'm like, do you really need all that? Do you? You're just flaunting your shit. Way to be a dick. Okay. Why can't you just be happy for the guy that like, you know what I mean? And so I had sent her a screenshot. I'm gonna see if I still have it real quick because I'm pretty sure I do. Wow. Why does nothing work when you want it to?
Because that's just the way things are. Everything will work in the time it's supposed to.
It will. And I sent it to her and I was like, this is like limiting beliefs. So here it is right here. And they were just things that like we have all probably said 1,000 times in our life. I don't have the time. I know I say that all the time.
Yeah.
I don't have the energy. I'm too tired. I never follow through on my goals. I'm too old. Fuck, I say that all the time. I should be farther along than I am. I'm like, so I sent this to my friend and she goes, wow, I probably say at least 5 of those several times in a day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is why you're struggling, because you're setting all these limits on yourself. And so the lady gives you some like flip statements to say, so like for like energy, right? I know I get a lot of time. We talk about it all the time about how I'm like, oh my God, man, I'm just so tired. And you know why I'm always so tired? Because all I talk about is how I'm freaking tired. So the last couple of days, no shit, all I have said is one of these little statements she says. And all it is I want energy. And so when I start to feel like, I'm getting tired or I'm just like, you know what? I want energy. I want to be energized. And then all of a sudden I'm like, whoo, all right, cool. I'm like feeling pretty good. So it's funny how it can really happen that quickly. Sometimes I'm like really amazed and I really just have to hone in and figure out how to take these little things that I do and like put them into bigger things.
Yeah. That's because you're magic. So, but like, I want should I say this out loud? I'm trying to figure out, I'm trying to articulate this in a way that's not trying to limit others, because
Sure.
I'm not trying to do that at all. But in a way, like, I guess the only way I can say it is blatantly, like, manage your expectations, because you have to be, in order for these things to work, all these things that we've talked about throughout our, I think we're on episode 9 now. All these things that we talked about, it's you have to be vibrating at the proper frequency, because if
Yep.
you are down here and you're just saying the words because
Mm-hmm.
you heard somebody say, oh, well, if I say it, it's going to happen. No, you have to do the work. You have to be vibrating at a higher frequency. That's why, like, Liz is magic, because she's on that frequency. I dropped down for a little bit. And, you know, you had your moment too where you dropped down. We drop down, but we bring ourselves back up. So we're on that frequency to make these things happen for.
And so the lady talks about how most of us operate in a have, be, do mindset, meaning that, let's say our end state is, I want to be happy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or I want to be whatever, right? We'll just go with happy. So we feel like we have to have a new car and a boyfriend or a loved one or whatever, significant other, and we have to have the all these things in order to do the things to be what we want, right? So then, like, oh, well, if I have a significant other, then I can do the traveling, right? But I have to have this first before I can do this so that I can be happy. When really, in order to attract what we want into our lives, right, is to, so it was have, do, be. So it's be, do, have.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, it goes back to what you're saying about how to get on that vibrational level. So she talks about, and there's a couple things that I'm reading and following right now that talk about this, right? So you start with the feeling first that leads you to the action of doing to then get what you have. So she also, so one of the ways that she phrases it is, um, when you get to it internally, it, she says it differently, but when you get there internally, it presents itself externally. So, like you were saying, you have to vibrate on that same level. So, if I want, let's just say my 60 by 120 riding ring, right? Then I have to feel what that's like and basically experience it, kind of live in the ends of it, right? So if I had that, what would that feel like? What would it smell like? What would it look like, right? And you get that feeling and you're like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for, right? And you build that on the inside, and then that's what starts to attract the opportunity or the thing that you need in order to get to that goal. And yes, it's not necessarily going to be like, all right, I'm thinking about it, I'm feeling it, I'm loving it, yeah, and then tomorrow some great magical thing happens. It might not be
All of a
tomorrow.
sudden, Amazon just delivers it to your fucking.
Yeah, right, or somebody calls me and says, "Hey, I got this barn I need to get
Yeah.
rid of," but something like that kind of did happen. So it goes back to my only getting to 7, and it kind of took me till Saturday to get there
Mm-hmm.
with the owls thing, right? I was really thinking about it and just sitting in it all day, and just like every free moment that I had in my brain, I was thinking about what it would feel like to have that and what I could accomplish and how that would make me feel. And that night, my sister sent me a Facebook marketplace ad for a guy who had a 48 by 24 building that he was selling. So the thing about my like particular desire right now is it's stupid expensive, mostly because people are building barndominiums. And so it's
The fuck is a
really,
bardominium?
they take a steel pole barn.
Mm-hmm.
So pole barn has like a wood or a metal frame, and then but it's like all open rafters usually.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just tin siding on the outside. So a lot of people take that frame, and then on the inside they pour concrete, put up walls, and they turn what most people were using for barns into a home. And they're just Google it.
Oh.
They're freaking gorgeous, and some of them are like really fancy. The way they started was it was just a square building on the outside.
Right.
It didn't look like a lot, but then when you went inside, it was like
I
freaking on
mean,
point.
that's crazy that so you can just pick these things up and move them.
Well, you can't pick them up and move them. So
Yeah, I
this
mean,
guy
like
had,
in pieces, or
yeah,
no?
it did. He disassembled it. Yeah.
Okay, because like, So what I've been envisioning for myself is buying property where I can fit a barn and
Mhm.
making the inside of it nice because that's going to be my training facility.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I so like that's kind of
They're
crazy.
completely, uh, built to suit, if you will. It's just a frame, it's just walls and a roof. So the inside, you can make it as fancy or not fancy as you want. You could do whatever you a lot of people put them up and put, like, their farm equipment or they store hand them or they turn them into a garage,
Mhm.
or you can do anything with the inside. You can put windows in it, you can put not like I said, just Google barn dominium and you'll see the stuff that pops up.
Is that with a
But
D? Are you saying it with a D? Barn dominium?
yeah, almost like a condominium,
Oh,
but a
I'm
barn
stupid.
dominium. You're
Barn
not
dominium
stupid.
makes sense. Okay.
So, but the thought process behind it and how it became kind of crazy is that you could build a house for like $100,000 and a pretty substantial square footage because you're not doing all the framing of like a house.
Right.
So a lot of the time they'll be mostly one level with maybe like a loft area
Yeah.
or people get crazy with them now. But anyway, so it kind of drove the market up on those. So the thing that I want is a little bit out of my budget right now. So but my sister sent me this thing and the guy's like, "Hey, it's a completely disassembled. Something that would have that size would cost you probably about 30 to $40,000. A 48 by like 24 building." He is selling for 6 grand. Well, fuck, I could do 6 grand.
Yeah.
So I asked my dad about it. We whatever. I'm not ready to do that just quite yet anyway, and who's going to build in the winter, but I was like thinking about it, thinking about it, thinking about it, and not worrying about the how, but also like, wow, that's kind of a steep price. So what I want is like 3 times the amount of that because it's substantial. I mean,
Size wise?
yeah, it's huge.
Size
It's like
wise or price wise?
both.
Oh.
So it's when I looked into it, it was like, what was it? $60,000 just for the kit. And then if you wanted someone to come out and build it, it was like another 30,
Oh my
$40,000.
god.
Yeah, substantial.
I've
But the thing would wind up being bigger than my house.
Man, see, I don't want nothing that big because I was looking at like the big metal sheds.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
called a pole barn.
but I couldn't find the pricing on it because like you can customize it and all that shit. And I'm like, I just want to know what kind of
So
money I
I
need to
will
save.
see if I can find it because I did have a site that you could go through like a wizard
Mm-hmm.
of and you select your options and it would spit a quote
Yeah,
out for
I
you.
really wish more companies would do it, kind of like build your own car, like
Yeah.
so because I can build my own car and see like, okay, this is about how much it's going to cost me. Like, I need things like that.
Because 4 out of the 5 places I went to, it says request an online quote.
Yeah,
But
and
then they
it's
just
not
wanna call you. I don't wanna
exactly.
talk to you. I know right now $30,000, even $30,000 is a
Hmm.
little bit outside of what I'm prepared to do because I have repairs in my house I have to make.
Yeah,
But I wanna know what price point I'm looking at so that I can figure out a plan,
right.
right? Okay, that's a little bit outside of my wheelhouse right now, so let me scale it down.
Hmm.
Or, all right, so I'm gonna need some time to, you know, come up with a financing option or whatever,
Right.
right? I just wanna know, you
Yeah.
know, is it
Without getting
something
put into like some spam email and people
exactly.
call like I got enough scammers call not that they're scammers,
Yep.
but I got enough telemarketers calling me.
Now this particular company is in Missouri, so I don't know if they would service your area, but you could at least walk through and get a ballpark of what
Right. And
it
like
would
that's
cost
pretty
you.
much what I'm looking
And it
for is
would
like
just be the outside because the inside is all on you to, like, hire somebody to,
mhm.
like, chop
And
it
I
up.
kind of feel like I could I mean, I feel like I would need somebody to run electrical, like, because
Mhm.
I can't do that. Maybe some plumbing, because I feel like if that's going to be my business, there should be a bathroom. If I'm going to have people coming to, train their dogs,
Or even just for you.
or even just for me, so I don't have to go all the way into the house. I just want to know like some sort of a ballpark and how much land I need, so I can figure out what type of property I'm going to buy.
Sure.
You know, but
So, but you and I should probably have a conversation offline about that. But
yeah,
so anyway, but I just thought it was like the 7 owls and the 72 hours instead of 48 hours. Um it's there. I'm doing it because I focused on it and something magnetized into my life that was in the realm of something I could do now.
right.
You know what I mean? and made it a little bit more obtainable. So I thought that was crazy. And
That's
even
pretty
though it
awesome.
wasn't a right now thing, it still was the universe going, "We got you,"
Yeah.
you know?
Kind of like
And
them just checking in, like, we hear you, but here's this opportunity if you want it.
well, so what it did was it sparked a conversation. So I called my dad and was like, "Hey, is this even worth like dealing with?" And of course, he's like, "Well, it depends on how it was stored and how long it's been out and, all these variables, whatever." But then we started talking about, you know what, maybe it would be better if I built it in phases.
Hmm.
So my dad was like, if you get the width of what you want with these pole barns, he's like, you set the width and then you can add on to
That's
them
what I
for
was gonna
however
ask.
long
Like,
you want.
if you could just
Because he's
add
like,
on to
all it
it.
is just a couple more poles and a couple more trusses. And then those hold the roof up. And so he's like, you could always just keep adding on to it later. So you could start with what you need to like house the horses and then come back to it. And we add on, another 40 feet. And then we'll add on another 40 feet until we get to your desired length. And I was
Yeah.
like, so even though that thing wasn't the thing that I wanted, it sparked a conversation
Right.
about an idea that I was like, doing it in phases actually really works better for me because you can save a little bit of money and build it and then save a
Right.
little bit of money and build it. And then, like he said, as long as you get your width, what you want at the beginning,
Yeah.
you can always make it longer. And I
That.
was like, got really excited about it because again, it started to become more tangible.
Right.
And where before I'm looking at all these sites telling me it's going to be $150,000 and it's like, okay, but what kind of investment is that on my property long term? And then
Right.
you just start whittling away at it with all the negative little dings and limiting beliefs. And it was like, one day I was sitting in the office and one of the people I work with was like, wow, you're awful quiet over there. What are you looking at, barns? And I was like, no, because all it does is make me sad. You know, that's where I was at. I was like,
Yeah.
well, crap, I can't afford to do that. So I guess I'm not going to get it.
Yeah.
I literally went there immediately and I was like, all right, I'm just going to put it out of my brain for a while. But then the
Hmm.
more like I started, reading and following the stuff that I do, I was like, oh, fuck that. I can figure this out, and I did. And like I said, we wound up like doing this. It wound up turning out to be a really great conversation with my
Yeah.
dad because we did a whole layout and I was like really excited about it. And like, it's just uncanny, but something that I've been told before is that I'm easily impressionable, right? And I am to a point in the sense that I really like to take what people say and like, okay, logically, does that compute? Does that, well, that's a really valid point. And so sometimes I think that's why it's a little bit easier for me to, like you were saying before, you have to be open minded
Yeah.
about things, even with yourself and
Right.
even with the things that you're saying to yourself. You have to, because like in this book, it talks about how she said something positive and immediately freaking Veronica comes out and she says something like, well, I gained a few pounds, but like, I want to be fit. I want to be fit. I want to be fit. And I can do this. Right. And it goes back to what you were saying about vibrating low and just saying the words to say
Right.
the words without any real intention or feeling behind them. And she says immediately her Veronica comes in and is like, yeah, right. You're just fat and lazy. You've never accomplished that immediately.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So and something I keep hearing in different scenarios is whenever something good is trying to happen, something bad is trying to keep it from happening. And that's all those things are.
Yeah.
And another thing I keep hearing is with no challenge, there's no change. Right?
Hmm.
So every time you have to shut Veronica up and be like, yeah, no, I'm going to turn that into a totally different. Yeah, you know what? You're right. In the past, I haven't, but today I'm going to.
Yeah.
Today, I want to. This is what I'm doing. Right? Those are the little challenges. And every time we defeat them, we make change and we get closer to our desired end state. I'm telling you, I'm like, I don't know, in this real spot where I'm just really inspired again and like super excited about things. And not just because of the stuff that I found out about outside, but just like a whole bunch of different stuff,
Yeah.
you know? And my friend was having a conversation with me today and she was saying these comments that reminded me of the time I was in the office and I told you I felt like I was being punished. And I was like, what did I do to deserve a day like this?
Yeah.
And you're like, no, buddy.
Yeah.
You woke up late because you needed the rest,
Yeah.
and you got stuck in traffic because you avoided a whole nother slew of problems. And it's so funny how that moment always pops into my mind, um, because it was a pivotal moment for me. I think that's really honestly what sparked a lot of my journey, and so I'm super appreciative of you for that. And, people will walk into my office and be like, "Yeah, I'm just having a shit day." And I'm like, "Well, you're having the day that you're allowing yourself to have. It's only as bad as you allow it to be." And
Exactly.
sometimes they're like, "Yeah, whatever." But then, like, they'll come back into my office later and be in a totally different mood.
Yeah. Look at you influencing
And
people.
and I'm like, so people come in and say that, and I'm sure sometimes people are like, "This bitch is crazy."
It's because people don't really get it. And I think like the biggest takeaway from like what we've talked about, because you as you were talking, like you sparked some things. I'm like, I wasn't paying attention. Like I was paying attention to you, but like when the things were happening, I wasn't
Mhm.
paying attention. So I think the thing is like you got to pay attention, because what happened, the thing that you sparked. So this was what, 2 or 3 days after Hiram passed away, and I didn't want to think about anything. Like I was obviously distraught, not having good days, and I needed to snap out of it somehow. I had like all these plans, like when it came to like training as a business, like I'm gonna have Huron because he's like my show pony, like he's fucking perfect, and like he's to demonstrate all this stuff. Is like now I don't have that, so I'm like I can't. I got to figure something else out. So I sat down and I wrote out my business plan, if you really want to call it that. Like I have like like a monthly schedule of like what hours I'm going to do, what like private classes. Like I wrote down everything. And this isn't even what I sent up, but because I started that, it sparked like a whole thread of creative ideas. And then on top of that, it prepared me to talk to the colonel, because I was able to go in and articulate, yeah, I'm going to have 3 tiers of training, and I'm going to do this, this, and this. And, when I do this on my own, if I have full classes, I can bring in 30 grand a month, just for doing this 3 times a week. And so just you have to pay attention to these little nudges that the universe gives you, because it's directing you in the direction that you're wanting to go.
Yes.
I think that's awesome. And it's awesome for you, like just how these little tidbits keep happening. And I'm just so grateful that like you're still doing it. I know, like, we have our moments. I obviously have mine.
Always.
I was in quite a slump for valid reasons, and you're allowed to have your feelings. You're allowed to feel your
100%.
emotions, but don't fucking stay there. I
Yep.
stayed there for a little longer than I wanted to, but I'm starting to pull out of it. And I think that dream and having him back home like really fucking helped. So getting myself out of the slump, and look at what happened. I got
Yeah.
my fucking paper signed.
Yeah. Almost instantaneously.
Almost instantaneously, because I was starting to feel when we recorded last week, that was really the first I'd really talked to anyone besides Chelsea. Like
Yeah.
I and obviously like coworkers, but I really talking to
Right.
them.
Yeah.
So like that was really the first I've like really socialized with anyone, and it kind of helped turn things around more for the positive, prepared me for initially Saturday, but Sunday. And like I just things turn around quickly, and you just cannot stay there. If you have desires and goals and all that, you have to go through the steps, and don't just say like I want to be happy just because I want to be happy. Like, okay, how are you going to work to get happy? Like let's get you vibrating at a higher frequency so you can achieve the things that you want.
Right. So you think about that feeling and what you think you want that makes you feel that
Mm-hmm.
way, right? And then a case in point with a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about, especially you, like, because you literally are like still coming out of it, but like you got hyper focused on it and it fucking changed the whole dynamic.
Oh
Last
yeah.
week, things were falling apart and the world was fucking ending.
Yeah.
And today, everything's on glide path. So you get that feeling and you think about it and you feel it and you visualize it. And again, some people take it one step further and they do the vision boards, or they create like a box where you put in magazine clippings or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and you put it all in that box, and it's kind of like your little treasure chest of
Yeah.
stuff that helps you stay connected to that thought or desire, right? But then it's that feeling that starts the whole
Yeah.
process.
I kind of did that. I knew about Pinterest. I think I was on it like years ago because I didn't know what the fuck it was. But then Chelsea's like, download Pinterest and like you can find all the things. And so like I have been on there. I think like since Huron passed away, but like I have like these fucking things like all the foods that I want and like how I want my house to look and like all these things.
Exactly.
So like,
and so it's the you are the be first.
Yeah.
Then you get the do, and then you get the have.
Yes.
And so until you figure out exactly like you said before, how to vibrate on that level so you feel it first, then it starts attracting those steps. So then the path in the woods starts illuminating a little bit to take you where you want to the things that you want to have.
And keep in mind that they might not always show up exactly how you want, because like this internship might not play out exactly how I'm wanting it to. You know, all these things that like I've been wanting for months now, it might not play out exactly how I want, but it's going to lead me in the direction that I need to go to get to.
And it's going to put you exactly where you're meant to be.
Exactly.
100%. And and like, just look at like how you and the major started out, right? You were kind of like, did not get off on the right foot.
No.
And now she is like, she's the one who put the bug in your ear to call the place that your dad was talking about. And like, look how fantastically that worked out. And the timing for all that. And a lot of that is because you were vibrating on like this. You probably could have manifested just about anything earlier this afternoon when you were getting hugs from Captain Anguilla and the major, right? Because you were just vibrating on such a high level. But it attracted that one more thing to you. That's going to be super beneficial and a great networking tool. And if, who knows, they may have overflow that they could send to you that gets you on the right path or starts your client list, or like, who even freaking knows, right? Like it's just super amazing and super exciting. And, so another thing was, one of the things she was talking about was money. And she was like, gave some little sayings about, affirmations, if you will, that was like, I want to have more money than I need. I want to pay my bills easily. I want to buy whatever I want, whenever I want, right? Were the three little things that she said. And I had said them and I was like, oh, those are pretty good. And I was saying them really more to commit them to memory more than anything. But I was also kind of feeling, I was like, oh, I really like those. Those don't really resonate with me. Yeah, that's exactly what I want. Right. So I had shared them with my friend later in that afternoon. But what I told her was I had read that and I was kind of like saying them to myself throughout the day. Cause again, I was really kind of just trying to commit them to memories because I always forget the wording for things. Anyway, and later that night I went home and my husband tells me that we're getting a 4.6% raise this year at 1 January for the Army.
What?
Yeah.
Fuck.
And I was like, well, that'll work.
Yeah. 4.6, man.
So, or 4, but I think he said 4.6, but still it was an article because it's the largest, pay increase that we've
shocking,
gotten ever.
actually.
I know.
Yeah, that's really shocking, but
listen, let's just float on that. Yeah, let's just let it ride. And I got to look, but I also think I might be getting a years in service bump on like the pay scale.
Yeah.
So with the two of those combined, I'd be sending. I'm like, all right. So there's my barn money.
Yeah, and we're getting ready to get into tax return season.
Yeah, I don't know how well it's going to work out for me, but I will be optimistic because I have like it's going to be hard for me this year because it's half in one state and half in another, and then I got to figure out how to pay this guy to return that. But
that's crazy. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. But it'll all work out. It'll be totally fine.
It'll all work out.
But yeah. So a lot of exciting things as far as like that going. And I'm just still waiting for some more, like I literally need the universe to like just flick me right between the eyeballs with the direction that I want to go.
Don't get impatient.
No, I'm not getting impatient, but like I really am. Like I tell them all the time, listen, I need like owls in the daytime kind of signs. Do you remember that time we saw a possum in the daytime?
Yeah.
He walked across the
Yeah, it was super
I need
weird.
something like that.
Right. Yeah, but what I'm saying is like, because I know you're trying to find like what your ultimate purpose is, but like I'm just saying don't get impatient with that, because that's a lower frequency, and it's going to happen when it happens. You're gonna have like you're gonna just have an aha moment just randomly. You're gonna be like, where the fuck did that come from? And then you're gonna be like, oh, like fucking sparks are gonna be flying. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It'll happen. So just whatever you do, don't get impatient about it. Be like, I need this to happen now. Like,
Oh
don't be.
yeah, no, that's not how I feel. And you know what's really crazy you bring that up, because I was at work and someone has been gone on TDY for a while, and she came by to just, hey, how are things, whatever. And she was asking me if I had ever considered going AGR. And I said, yeah, I've submitted packets before, but I said, it's just never really been in the cards for me.
Mhm.
It just never really seems to work out. So I just kind of quit pushing the issue, because I kind of just felt like the universe saying, hey, that's not really where we want you to get wrapped up in. And I was like, when I was saying these things out loud, right? Like in the past, I would like start telling like a story about the, kind of resentments that I had built about why it didn't pan out or whatever, or I don't know how that guy got it, but I didn't, shit like that. But I didn't. Like, as I was like saying this, I was like, it's totally fine though. I'm like, I just had this like sense of like overwhelming calmness kind of just rush over me that was like, I'm here and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing like right now. And I'm just taking every day for what it is. And whatever comes at me, I can handle and will be what I need for what is meant for me and where I'm supposed to go. And like, that's like the first time I ever felt like that. Cause honestly, I should be probably freaking out, but for some reason I'm not. So, um, because I'm not guaranteed that I'll get brought back on next year, and so I should really probably be freaking out, but I'm not. I have this
Oh,
like just calm sense about
because things are
whatever
gonna. Yeah.
comes is going to be fine.
Exactly.
And it's so weird how like at peace I am with it, because I've been in a similar situation before where like I took a job and it was supposed to be extendable, and within the first year at 6 months I applied to for the extension and I got denied, and I had to go and find other employment, and I only had 6 months to do it. And I remember being like, "Mom, what the fuck am I gonna do?" And yeah, I'm just not like that. I'm like, I'm here and this is going to work out for me. And I just know it is, whether it's here or somewhere else or whatever. And like, I just have this calm knowing that
That's good.
it's good.
And I'm proud of you.
It's fucking awesome. So good stuff.
It was good stuff. We almost talked for 2 hours.
I
It's
know.
like past my bedtime.
And you put out this whole disclaimer out on the beginning. So yes,
What
so
disclaimer
we'll
did
leave
I-
it at that.
What disclaimer did I put out?
You were like, "Hey, listen, we can't be talking for like an hour and a half.
Oh
Jinjin's got a fucking
yeah,
bedtime." And I was
I
like, "Yeah, me
did.
too."
Yeah, and here we're sitting at, it's almost an hour and 45 minutes.
We might have to chop this up into a couple episodes.
No,
but
fuck that. Listen, they're gonna ride with us. Y'all are gonna ride, so I hope you appreciated and had fun. Look, because it's on the YouTube, you can pause it, you can take your potty breaks, and
Facts.
so just make sure you guys check out all of our socials, the YouTube, the TikTok, Instagram. I've got to update the Instagram.
Yeah, I gotta get on TikTok.
Spotify, and then on our link tree that is linked in our Instagram, you can always email us.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any, but so you guys can always email us, and if there's something that because we've kind of just been shooting the shit the past few, which I love. Like I love these conversations, but if there's ever any topic that you want us to explore further, we might learn. We'll learn something on the way, no matter what. So feel free to email us.
Yeah, we would love that. That'd be exciting.
Oh yeah, but hopefully after sometime after the new year, probably after I get settled, we'll start talking about maybe doing these lives.
Yeah,
I think people will really have a lot of fun, like interact with us while we're having the show. And who knows, they might end up 3-hour episodes. Oh God, we might have to walk back the start time.
Yeah.
But then again, I'll be retiring, so
you'll have all the time in the world.
All the time in the world. So, but all right, buddy. Well, don't have anything else.
No, I'm good.
All right, well, I hope you buddies enjoy and you have a great rest of your weekend.
Bye, friends.
Bye.